Sheeks Aboot Shetland, Sheeks Aboot Shetland, so much going on here every single day. Sheeks Aboot Shetland, Sheeks Aboot Shetland, everybody's got that much they want to say. Sheeks Aboot Shetland, Sheeks Aboot Shetland, gonna do our best to put the world day right. Sheeks Aboot Shetland, Sheeks Aboot Shetland, come along and listen to us speaking.
Okay, well, here we are with the latest political episode of the new podcast Sheeks Aboot Shetland, with Jane Moncrief and myself, Pete
Hello.
Bevington.
That's it.
And
That's all I'm going to say.
I'm still learning about this presentation thing, so I need to kind of pause to allow Jane to say hello. And our guest today is Brian Nugent, who is one of the 8 candidates for the election in Shetland on May the 7th, which we hope as many people as possible will participate in by voting. And Brian is here to tell us about his party. Who is the party? Because your party has a long name and it's not on everybody's lips. So perhaps you could first of all tell us.
It's on my lips. I can say it.
Okay, go on then. You tell us what the party is.
Brian is the leader of the Sovereignty as part of the Alliance to Liberate Scotland party. Is that right, Brian?
Nearly.
Okay.
Alliance to Liberate Scotland is a grouping of Sovereignty and another group. Sovereignty is a party in its own right. Then there's Independence for Independence, and they've come together in an alliance to take a particular stand in this election. On the Shetland ballot paper, it will say Alliance to Liberate Scotland and Sovereignty. In the region, we are all standing under Alliance to Liberate Scotland.
So you're not going for a snappy title then?
Well, we thought it was, but our critics say otherwise.
Well,
You are the leader, Brian, of the grouping.
I'm the leader of the Sovereignty Party, yes. But it's just Sovereignty, it's not Sovereignty Party as such.
complicated.
Yeah. So
I don't believe it. I never felt it was complicated until just now.
Okay. So to you, it's not complicated.
Well, I didn't think it was before, but maybe I'll reassess after this.
Maybe you should get a marketing company to kind of give you a slogan that you can use that could be on everybody's lips.
Yes, yes.
Anyway.
Well, the Alliance to Liberate Scotland has a one-line manifesto, which is independence, nothing else, nothing less. That's it. So we're obviously in the game of promoting independence for Scotland. I suppose the reason for that is that we have lost trust in the SNP. We see them as a devolution party now. They have settled down. Winnie Ewing, when she got elected, was told to settle down, and she said she was there to settle up. We want people to settle up and become independent, but we believe that the SNP have lost their way. That's why we're standing against them. And we're standing against the Greens, who are also nominally in favour of independence, but they're in favour of so many things that I'm afraid that independence is just something else on their manifesto. I'm not sure that they really believe in it.
could I ask you, Brian, if you would just go back a pretty bit and tell us a bit about yourself? Who is Brian Nugent? Where do you come from, etc.? For the 30 years before you came here, but very briefly.
Well, I was born and brought up in Coatbridge, which is a town just outside Glasgow. There's a bit of Glasgow and Coatbridge which merged together, and if you don't know, you'd think it was the same place, but it isn't. It's a different town. I joined the SNP in 1974, and I was with them for a long time. I have walked out of the SNP a couple of times. The first time was because of independence in Europe. They wanted independence, but so they wanted to leave one union to join another union. They wanted to join the European Union. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And they have lost their way completely. They're into devolution. If they were offered some form of devil max tomorrow, they would take it, I'm sure. But there's a lot of people.
Brian, we're straying straight into the politics. James was asking you about yourself. So you joined the SNP, and then
well, so I right. So I became an Albion Rovers supporter and travelled all over Scotland watching the Rovers. Some triumphs and many tragedies along the way. And then, much to my surprise, I ended up getting married. And I was surprised that anyone agreed to take the yes option. And we arrived just as our first child was due in Shetland. And we've got 3 children. 2 of them have seen the bright lights. They've gone to Glasgow. They're not coming back. But we have a daughter in Cunningsborough who's part of the music scene. And I'm a very recent granddad. The baby arrived, the grandson arrived on Upheliade.
And you're currently in Sardinia.
And the reason we're in Sardinia is because my youngest daughter is marrying Luca Zeda, who's a Sardinian. The 2 of them live in Galston in Ayrshire. People tell me that I hate Europeans. How can I hate Europeans? I love Europeans. I don't like the European Union. That's a different matter. So Luca and Ruth are getting married on the 2nd of May. When it took a wee while for me to twig the 2nd of May, the 7th of May, and I went, oh no. So it's not ideal from an electioneering point of view, but you just have to get on with it.
Family first, Brian.
Oh, absolutely.
So
my wife is in the room and she's shaking her head.
Well, that's maybe another story. Anyway.
Yes. Yeah, you can interview her another time.
No, thank you.
Okay. But what was it that brought you to Shetland then, Brian?
Well, I had a job in Falkirk in what was called an iTech, and it got me enough to get a place at James Watt College in the IT department, and we had got married. Margaret announced that she was expecting her first baby, and then I needed to get a full-time job somewhere, and Shetland was the one that came up.
Oh, right.
And at that time, I thought, do a couple of years in Shetland, get a bit of experience, and then head south. Get back to the football grounds was essentially what I was thinking. But Lord Forsyth, if you remember him, he basically privatised further education colleges and overnight the Herald went from pages of job adverts for lecturers to none. And it's very seldom that you actually see a lecturer advert in any of the newspapers anymore. So,
So you were
and I would
stuck.
have to say it took a wee while for me to settle to the idea that I lived in Shetland. Odd little things like the Herald doesn't arrive till 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, or not at all. That sort of thing. But from my time at Shetland College and latterly at Gilbert Bain, I think I in my head when I go back to Shetland, I'm going home now rather than in the past. I was visiting Shetland to go home to Coatbridge. So
We have a true Scot here, Jane, a true Scot.
I think so, yeah. But I'm glad to see that Shetland is home to you now, Brian.
well, as I said, it took a wee while, but I think I'm 34 years I've been here, and as I said, when I got on the boat at Aberdeen, I think of myself as coming home or
So
going
so
home, whatever.
you've finally grown roots.
I believe so, yeah. At one point, I thought me and Margaret, when we hit retirement, would head south, but there's a grandchild now in Cunningsborough, so leaving Shetland is unlikely, I would suggest.
That sounds right.
Can I ask you about the Alliance Party? I know that the whole thing. I noticed that you are first on as well as standing for Shetland, you're first on the list.
Yeah.
So how many folk are standing as part of that grouping?
There's 6 people in total. There's myself, Andrew MacDonald standing in Caithness, Sutherland and Ross. Kenny Mackenzie is standing in the Western Isles. Laura Hansler, I can't remember which, she's standing in a Highland constituency, as is Alan Duffy. I think he might be Murray. And then there's Flora Badger, who's on the list, not in a constituency as such. So there's 6 of us in total standing in the Highlands and Islands region.
That's in the Highlands and Islands region. Is there?
Yes.
So that's for the list. And there's how many of you nationwide?
Well, there's another 2. One is in Cowdenbeath and one is in Cumbernauld and Kilsyth.
So the stronghold is the Highlands and Islands.
Yes, it does look like that. We hopes of putting people up in northeast Scotland, but for various reasons that fell through. But yeah, we're a relatively new party. We launched our manifesto, and it was a good exercise because we went through and we were doing what can we say here, and people were suggesting things, and I had to keep saying, well, we don't actually have an agreed policy on that yet. So I know some people have read the manifesto and think it's a good effort.
Yeah, I would
but
say so.
We know that we need to produce more policy. That's the long and short of it.
So what you're saying is you're a very brand new entity.
Well, not quite brand new. We're 6 years old, I think it is.
Oh.
So,
But the manifesto is November last year. Was that when it got written, or has it been written?
Well, we were working on it well into February, March. So I think it started in November, but
really?
it just took time to get over the finish line.
So your manifesto is brand new.
Well, written for this election, yes.
Right, okay.
So how do you rate your chances getting on, at least getting on the list, Brian? Getting voted in?
Well, first of all, I'm not giving up on Shetland. I am quite prepared to accept the voice of the people in Shetland, and if I'm first, I'll accept it as graciously as I possibly can. But if I'm anything else, I'll also do that. Yes, if a sovereignty candidate is going to win, it'll possibly or probably be me through the Highlands and Islands region. There are other, we've got lists of people who are mainly aligned to Liberate Scotland, and some of them could win seats as well. The point of us standing in the constituency is that if you try to stand on the region alone, you don't get any coverage, next to none. If you stand in the region and you've stood in the constituencies, you're getting more coverage. It's purely tactical. So yes, we're standing in Shetland. We'll see what happens there, but we're hoping that elsewhere across the region there'll be percentages of votes that might add up to at least one regional MSP. And just to say that the SNP are saying SNP1, SNP2, all that does is fill the Scottish Parliament up with unionist MSPs when you would think they would be looking for fellow supporters of independence.
Okay, well, you talk about tactics there, Brian. I think for most people who don't kind of look as deeply into the kind of political scene in Scotland as you do, most people would think, why is a party that wants independence for Scotland not working, why are its members not working through the Scottish National Party, who everybody else says have only one policy, which is independence for Scotland, which is why an awful lot of people in Shetland don't want, I mean, a majority in Shetland at the referendum, a reasonably sized majority of people in Shetland during the referendum voted against independence. But the tactical question for me is like, why are you not working through the SNP?
Well, I'll deal with the percentage who voted in Shetland in the referendum. It was 36.3%. Now, if I was to get 36.3% in Shetland, I could be the MSP.
It's a different kind of it's a 50.
Yeah.
It's what you have a yes or no vote against an election of different candidates, so you can't really compare.
Yeah. I know I'm not talking about quite the same thing. So I was the chair of Yes Shetland. We ran a good campaign up here, and it was a lot of fun, and it brought lots of people out of the woodwork who weren't particularly political, and we had, it was a very enjoyable campaign, other than the overall result. We weren't expecting to win Shetland or anything of that nature. I'm sorry, I've forgotten what was the second part of your question. Oh, the SNP.
Why are you not working through the SNP? Yeah.
Well, I mentioned that in the late 1980s, instead of being for independence, we suddenly became independence in Europe. And some people walked out immediately because they couldn't see the logic of that. It took me a while longer to work out that, you leave one smallish union, the UK, and you go into an even bigger one in Brussels. And, if we're 5 million on the periphery of 60 million, will be 5 million on the periphery of 540 million, whatever it is. So that wasn't for me. And I have looked elsewhere.
But you
So
sorry, Jane.
I was just going to say, if you do get voted in, what's your main policies? Like, what would you like to see for Shetland?
Well, I'm very much for number one is looking after the fishing around Shetland. We've got the Scottish Fisheries Protection boats are harassing the local boats, and they're letting visiting boats come in and do what they feel like. And the local fishermen are just raging, and they have no political way out because the SNP are allowing it to happen. I said at one Hussins that to me it seemed like the SNP were trying to keep the French and the Spanish sweet so that when they think they're going to ask for membership of the European Union, it'll be a nice, smooth journey. And I was told that that was a conspiracy theory. If it's not a conspiracy theory,
That was Hannah Mary Goodlad said that it was a conspiracy theory.
yes, Hannah said it was a conspiracy theory. Well, if it's not the case, what is it they're actually doing? They're standing at the side watching this going on and doing nothing about it. They are harassing the local boats, and they're not doing anything with the visiting boats.
What are you basing this on? I mean, it's quite an. I mean, I've heard these things myself, but I haven't seen direct evidence because I've not been there. You're saying this is definitely going on. On what basis are you saying that?
All we have to do, Pete, is speak to the Shetland Fishermen's Association or to any of the fishermen round the various Scalloway, Lerwick, Walser. To speak to any fishermen, they are getting harassed. They're getting proper. The fisheries protection boat guys are coming on and doing a thorough check. And
Right.
if they go on to a foreign boat, they just have a quick look in or off again.
I mean, Hannah Mary is big on the fishing, and her dad was the chief executive of the Shetland Fishermen's Association. So, if that was going on, you would assume that she would know about it and wouldn't be calling it conspiracy theory.
Well, her response about it being a conspiracy theory, that was fine, except that if my conspiracy theory is wrong, what is the SNP government doing? It is not protecting Shetland boats.
Okay.
I do kind Pete, there's a lot of unhappiness about it. I've seen quite a lot online. They're the local fishermen. Yeah, plus they put up some screenshots of where the boats are fishing and where the protection vessel is. I mean, I'm not saying that I think it's a conspiracy theory, but there is a lot of discontent, and there's also been some video evidence of some of the boats getting into a bit of a tussle with each other, longliners dumping air and that sort of stuff.
I've seen, obviously, because of my involvement with the wildlife sanctuary, I've been to, there was a meeting a couple of years ago with Ghost Fishing UK that came up, and the what's the organization called? UK Fish or something like that. I can't remember. The national organization who are campaigning about this, they had their local spokesman, Alistair Inkster. He was speaking up about it. And it clearly is an issue that's being addressed locally. And I would have thought the SNP would need to be at least saying that they're looking into it, if this is being said, then they should look into it. Yeah, because it's a big issue, certainly for
Well,
Shetland.
you mentioned Hannah dismissing. She dismissed the whole thing. It's going to carry on. If the boats, the Scottish Fisheries Protection boats are not taking a lead from the Scottish government, why are they doing what they're doing?
Okay, well, we haven't spoken to Hannah Mary yet. So
But that's certainly something we can ask her.
yeah, I'd say.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's one thing for Shetland. The other thing I would say is we are importing oil. Now that's great because those boats that come in and bring the oil pass over all our oil fields which have been stopped. And that just doesn't make any sense. If we're bringing in oil, number one, we have no control over the extraction processes. Number two, we are bringing the oil in diesel spewing tankers to deliver it, and we're doing all this to save the planet. Now, explain to me how that works, because it doesn't make any sense. If we had people out on the North Sea working, they would be contributing via tax and all the rest of it to local communities. I don't know if you've been in Aberdeen in recent times, but it's a pretty sad looking place. And they say that locally they're losing a lot of jobs in because of the North Sea and what's happening there. I should just say I do not believe in net zero. I think it's nonsense. Why are we going after CO2? We need CO2 because it grows things. If we take enough CO2 out of the system, we'll then have to put it back in because trees will start falling down. Wheat won't grow. I'm sorry, it's just nonsense.
No, I remember when when the whole climate change kicked off, thing kicked off. It didn't make sense to me. I mean, what didn't make sense to me was Greta Thunberg speaking in front of the World Economic Forum, condemning them for their behavior, and they were giving her standing ovations. It just didn't make sense, and that's what I've questioned it ever since, really. Um, anyway, that's another story. I mean, but it is, as you say, it's a major push. The whole climate change thing and net zero thing is it's grown exponentially, really, in the last few years, I think.
2 or 3 weeks ago, the UK government signed on for another 20 years of subsidies to renewable energy.
Hmm.
That's 20 years on top of the 15 that was there before. That's 35 years. I can't find it again, but there was 15 years before that. We're talking about 50 years of subsidies to renewables, and then people tell you that renewables are worthwhile. No, they're not. We're all paying for them, every one of us. When you get your electricity bill, 1/3 of that is paying for the cost of the electricity you have used.
But
The
we do
rest of
have
it,
we do have to find other ways. I mean, fossil fuel resources are limited, and so ultimately, humanity has to look for other forms of generating energy. Would you not
I
agree?
agree that oil will run out, but anybody I speak to says there's 50 years of oil in the North Sea.
Hmm.
There's Rosebank, Cambo, Jackdaw, which are the ones which have been stopped for the moment. But there's lots of other test bores which went down, found oil fields, and the reason for that is if the company didn't go down, do the boring, they would find that the license would be taken off them and it would go to someone else. So they know that there's more oil there and more gas. But
But there's still, you say 50 years, we still need to think beyond that, don't we? We do need to think.
I agree. But we're jumping ahead. We're coming to the solution, which the Greens are suggesting with all this renewable energy. I've asked several times. Oil produces over 6,000 products, different products.
This is true.
Fertilizer's one of them. A lot of fertilizer is stuck in the Straits of Hormuz. Some of that fertilizer should be going into the ground now. not when it finally finishes in 2 or 3 months.
Yep.
There's all sorts of things. There's chemotherapy drugs which are based somehow in oil. But the number one is plastic. Now, plastic is a good thing and it's a bit of a curse as well. But we have nothing to replace these with. Where are the green replacements? We've got 50, if we've got 50 years of oil in the North Sea and we've got all these things, that's 50 years for the Greens to work out how to make plastic by another method.
You can make plastic with hemp.
Right. Well, if it's not been done at this point, it can't be cost
No, it's
neutral.
been legislated against.
Well, okay. I'll after this, I'll look this up and see why I should support hemp.
Well, it might be a conspiracy theory rabbit hole. I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's what I understand.
I need a
Can I
few
ask you,
conspiracy theories.
Can I just jump in and ask you, Brian, do you have any ideas for alternative forms of energy apart from oil?
Not really, not at the moment. If we've got 50 years now, I can say, looking at Pete, looking at myself, I'll be careful what I'm going to say to you, Jane. But you know, me and Pete don't have 50 years left. I don't think. So
No comment.
the youngins.
I'll have to stop you there, Brian, because I'm older than Pete.
I wasn't going to say
Well,
it, but
well, there you go.
she
There
just
you
wears
go.
it better than I do.
Well, so we've jumped ahead to the solution as people see it with all these renewable energy, all the rest of it, without fixing how we can produce 6,000 different products. You should look it up. It's amazing how many different things have their base in oil.
There's a guy who wrote a book who was saying future generations will be horrified at the waste using all that valuable oil that we can do so much with, burning it up in people's petrol tanks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like having more than you know what to do with it. You think it'll go on forever and you squander it. And then it's only when there's hardly any left you realize what the most valuable things it offers are.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
I have to
it's up
say,
to.
I was still on the
go.
board ride a couple of Sundays ago, and missed the Brock can for plastic of one kind or another. If it wasn't a huge big lump, so it was the Perimoti microplastics that was caught up in among the tang, and it was
It's awful.
horrible.
And even the worst is when it breaks down into tiny little pieces. And those are some of the most, well, as we know, then it gets to nanoplastics and it's inside all our bodies, apparently.
Well, my son, I think his best student job was when he was nominally called a grave digger with SIC, but actually what he did was he went all over Shetland, mowing the grass in all the graves.
In the graveyards.
And he said that what is happening is that bodies are decomposing much slower than they ever did because of the amount of plastic that all of us have got in us. So I did say that plastic was a blessing and a curse. And that's why I think it's a curse, because it's got into us all. It's got into nature, and we have to find something else to replace plastic with, for sure.
Hemp.
I've got it. I will definitely look up hemp after this.
Okay. Yeah. I'd like to ask you, Brian, reading your manifesto, coming to the end of it, I haven't quite got the manifesto. I do have the manifesto, if you'll bear with me. You talk about it sounds almost like a vision of the future whereby people in Scotland could be fighting in the streets for independence. Am I misreading that? Hold it a second. I've got it here.
It's the section about UDI,
Yeah.
Unilateral Declaration of Independence.
If you'll bear with me, shall I read it? What do you think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
on you go.
So how might our independence be regained? First of all, not by doing nothing, not by playing constantly into Westminster's hands, and not by making promises that we cannot keep. Sovereignty advocates for a strategy of incrementally increasing the pressure and consequence. Sorry, I'll read that again. Sovereignty advocates for a strategy of incrementally increasing the pressure and consequences on Westminster for its failure to provide a judicial or parliamentary route for Scotland to self-determine. This includes campaigning for the legitimacy of a unilateral declaration of independence, or UDI, which I think they had in that was rings bells about Ireland, UDI, in my mind.
It certainly happened in many countries. I'm not sure that it happened in Ireland.
It was talked about.
Rhodesia, Rhodesia
Oh, was it Rhodesia? Okay.
was
Okay,
one of
I'll
the
carry
ones I
on.
think of.
Should Westminster oppose efforts by the Scottish people to exercise our right of self-determination, even unilaterally, a right that it has supported in the case of other states like Kosovo, then it is only fair for the Scottish people and Scottish institutions to act to protect these inalienable rights. We will disengage with bilateral institutions based on the regions and nations of the UK, build international support for the exercise of Scottish sovereignty, and establish many of the institutions needed for an independent Scotland. Having won a democratic mandate for independence, as soon as the ground has been laid, we will declare the 1707 Acts of Union to be null and void, and announce that Scotland has regained her independence. If this approach has the support of the Scottish people, but is met with resistance by the British state, then the Scottish people will be within their rights peacefully to take to the streets. This is not a route that we want to take, but we are conscious that our birthright will not be returned to us on a plate. Critical to this strategy is disengagement with the institutions of the British state. It's an approach that each of us can adopt now. Interesting. It's one that creates consequences for the British state to which it must respond. While the independence movement does not need to be united around questions of its vision for an independent Scotland or around political ideology, it is essential that we share a common strategic approach. The Alliance is one of the most promising initiatives in this direction, and our decision to align with it is taken for the sole purpose of uniting our efforts with fellow patriots seeking that Scotland once again be free. I mean, it's a very strong statement, that. It's interesting when you talk about people disengaging from the institutions of the British state, and you're saying here that that's something that each of us can adopt now. Could you perhaps comment on that?
Well, first of all, the SNP won 56 of 59 seats in a UK election in 2015.
That's right.
Why are we not independent? Because the SNP went to London and said, can we become independent? And London said no. And the SNP said, oh, all right then. So we've no way of getting independence electorally, because the SNP haven't got the bottle, is the best way to say it.
Okay.
And London might tell us that we're too small, too poor, all that stuff. But I contend that Scotland is financing at least part of the UK's finances much more. We send much more down across the border to what comes back.
And the same
That's
is
my
true. I mean, the same is true of Shetland. I mean, I've always heard
oh
that since
yeah,
I've been in
yeah, yeah,
Shetland gives to the state far more than it receives.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fishing and the oil certainly make big contributions. And there are people who talk about Shetland autonomy. And I always say to them, you can talk about it, you can send letters to the papers, but what you have to do is set up a party, stand, make make the case to the electorate. If you start getting people elected, then Scotland, then England, UK, whatever, however you want to describe it, then they'll take that seriously and maybe do something about it. As it stands, the Liberal Democrats usually say, "Oh yeah, we'll look into that," and then 5 years later, at the next election, they say, "Oh yeah, we'll look into that." Um, so, so we can't do it electorally, it seems, and the Scottish government went to court and they were told that they couldn't set up a referendum without permission from the UK government. So Scotland has got to ask the colonial power to give us the right to have the decision.
For permission.
And permission, yeah. And well, that doesn't make any sense. So all the stuff that was said there about the ratchet thing, it doesn't have to be violent. We can just slowly stop things happening.
So
and
you're
take it.
suggesting that you're suggesting in it that people disengage from the British state at a personal level, it sounds like. I mean, can you give an example?
Right, well, my state pension, they can send it to me direct and I'll look after it. They don't have to waste their time looking after me. Just give it direct to me. Obviously, we haven't got the nuts and bolts of that yet.
So you're not
It was a
suggesting
nice
that people
flourish and you read it beautifully.
you're
But
not suggesting people take direct action now. Is that what or because it sounds
I'm not suggesting violence. I'm suggesting that there are ways to make life awkward. The assumption is made that London will want to hold on to us, but you never know. They might think this lot are too much trouble. Just get rid of them. But you have to make the case. The SNP are not making the case.
well you
They
have
go
to
down there. Oh, we've got the biggest majority since the last biggest majority. No, you can't have a referendum. Okay, that's all right then. That's the way it looks to me. If you ask Hannah about that as well, it might well be another conspiracy theory, but I don't think so.
so basically you're saying Scotland should cause more trouble.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm saying it's fine not to end on.
And then he carried on talking. And we could probably go on for ages and ages and ages, but this has been a lot of fun,
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah, I think so. I think Brian got us Waden and had a 40 under to look to, so I think we're turning up enough for us time.
Okay, though part of me thinks Brian enjoys talking about Scottish politics more than any other thing,
Yeah, but
any
Mark's
other
waiting
form of
in the
activity. Well, thank you very much indeed, Brian. That's been a pleasure, and best of luck for the rest of your campaign. Will you be back in Shetland for the big day by then?
I think we're back in Shetland on the 6th. So the election's
Okay,
on the
fine.
7th and they're counting the votes on the 8th. So I will be back, yes.
Okay. Very interesting.
So
The campaign for an independent Scotland is in Sardinia for the election campaign. I think that
yes,
that is a good joke.
I do get the irony of that, yes.
Okay. Well, look, I hope the wedding goes extremely well, Brian. Thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you.
Sheeks aboot Shetland, sheeks aboot Shetland. So much going on here every single day. Sheeks aboot Shetland, sheeks aboot Shetland. Everybody's got that much they want to say. Sheeks aboot Shetland, sheeks aboot Shetland. Gonna do our best to put the world day right. Sheeks aboot Shetland, sheeks aboot Shetland. Come along and listen to us speaking.